Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Ganta Chakrapani, President of today's program, distinguished Chief Guest Dr. Parakala Prabhakar Garu, and Honorable Guest of Honor Srimati Surabhi Vani Devi Garu, Registrar Dr. L.V.K. Reddy, and honored guests who came from different parts of Hyderabad and also from different places, and the distinguished faculty members, my dear students, and the media friends, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm good morning to everyone. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all for this distinguished lecture organized by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University on the occasion of 105th birth anniversary of Bharat Ratna P.V.Narasimha Garu.
Professor Ganta Chakrapani Garu, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Pushpa Chakrapani Garu, Shri L.V.K. Reddy Garu, ma akka Vanika, my dear friends. My talk is mostly going to be in English, but in between I would like to also say some things in Telugu. If I were to consider myself privileged, blessed, and fortunate, I will do only for one reason. That is, I have known Sri P.V.Narasimha personally. That's the only reason. Although I have known him since my childhood, it was mainly during my days in Delhi for my university education that I met him and came to know of him much more. I conversed with him, argued with him, learned from him, sat in silence with him, ate with him, traveled with him, even played badminton with him. This was an unearned privilege. I did not do anything to deserve it. I simply happened to be the son of his political colleague and friend. That privilege gave me an opportunity to watch one of the greatest personalities of modern India close up. Delivering P.V. Narasimha Rao Memorial Lecture, therefore, is a very poignant occasion for me. I express my gratitude to Professor Ganta Chakrapani, his colleagues, and everyone in this great university associated with organizing today's lecture. I would begin by sounding some alarm bells. We might not be able to hold this kind of gatherings freely in the coming days. You might have to check with the powers that be whether you could invite a particular person, whether the speaker could speak on a particular subject. You might even be asked to submit the text of the speaker's address in advance for them to decide whether the speaker should be allowed to air this or that point of view. You might have to cancel speaking invitations, sometimes even at the last minute. To avoid all that chaos and loss of face, sooner than later, you might voluntarily abandon all such discourses. This is a strong possibility now. It is staring in our face. Have no illusions. This year, on August 15th, there is a good chance that our beloved tricolor would be hoisted on the Red Fort. Whether it would fly there on the next Independence Day, I'm not very sure. It is not difficult for you to guess which could be the flag to take the tricolor's place. Recently, the Union government has issued a circular. It is now mandatory that all the 6 stanzas of the Vande Mataram are sung in all Union government's official gatherings. The circular also laid down that Vande Mataram had to be sung before the national anthem. It's already happening. Not before long, excuses would be made to dispense with the Janaganamana. They would say, since they are running out of time, and as they've already sung Vande Mataram, they might skip Janaganamana. That excuse might sound innocuous, but that excuse would only be a transitory one until Janaganamana disappears completely. People who keenly follow the recent 10-hour marathon discussion in our Lok Sabha on Vande Mataram cannot really escape this fear. The Union government has recently constituted a high-level committee on demographic changes. The terms of reference of the committee repeatedly mentioned illegal immigration as one of the justifications for constituting the committee. That makes obvious the government's intention of branding certain communities and unwanted residents of this country. Now, I got these anxieties off my chest. I will now use the remaining part of the time given to me to speak about the currently ongoing massive exercise to revise electoral rules in our country. It is called the Special Intensive Revision, SIR. I would dwell on it, what it would mean to our cherished idea of India as a secular democracy and to a republic that is committed to deliver justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity to the people of this land. A staunch champion of these ideals was Baba Saheb Ambedkar, after whom this great university is named. SIR is presented to the people as an attempt to clean up the electoral rolls. The Election Commission of India marketed it as an exercise meant to delete the names of absent, shifted, dead, duplicate, ASDD. Absent, shifted, dead, duplicate voters from the electoral rolls. It is also marketed as a measure to detect and delete foreigners from the voters list. That is how it is marketed. If our electoral rolls had an acceptable number of such ASDD voters and foreigners in them, our previous elections and the mandates they produced, by implication, are rendered questionable. The successive Lok Sabhas and state assemblies, even the mandates of 2014, 2019, and 2024, as well as the governments those mandates produced, in effect, have to be treated as lacking in legitimacy. If this is the implication of the ECA's claim of impure electoral rolls, then our democracy is and has been in grave jeopardy. The present ECI, wittingly or unwittingly, is leveling a serious allegation against all previous ECIs. As a consequence, it is also making the legitimacy of earlier mandates questionable. But as I would try to show here, the ECI's claims about impure electoral rolls, stated purpose of carrying out SIR lack conviction. The present ECI's intent behind conducting SIR is dubious. It leads one to suspect that SIR is not an exercise to weed out ASDT voters, but it is part of a larger project to transform the nature and composition of the country's political society. Before I explore the nature of this project, I would like to dwell on the opacity of the ECI and the glaring irregularities that render the intent behind the SIR exercise suspect. SIR has been evaluated against the justification offered by the ECI. These justifications are, what did they say when they wanted to introduce SIR? First, they said a time lapse. This is the primary justification. The ECI argued that more than 20 years have elapsed between the last intervention, intensive revision, and now. Demographic shift is the second justification. Large-scale urbanization, large-scale migration, and population changes, these have happened, so we have to do the SIR. That's the justification. The third one is they said there are some certain database errors. The ECI had said that the revision was intended to purge duplicate entries, ghost voters, unreported deaths, and unverified entries from the voters list. Fair enough. Ivevaru kadanaleru. These stated objectives are really noble. I don't think anyone in this room disagrees with these objectives. I also agree with these objectives. I want a pure, correct, accurate voters list. I'm not against that. What we all want our voters list to be clean. That's what we want. Free from errors. We do not want dead people's names in the electoral rolls. We want duplicate names to be eliminated, unverified names deleted, and ghost voters removed from the voters list. We have a process called Special Summary Revision, SSR. This summary revision is carried out every year. It eliminates dead, shifted, and absent voters. It includes persons who attained the voting age at the time, and also adds who came into that area after the last such revision has happened. This is a continuous process. Every year it goes on. After 2024 general election, SSR had happened. Then, on what basis the ECI came to the conclusion that it should undertake an intensive revision? What was the justification? In its affidavit to the Supreme Court of India, this is important. In its affidavit to the Supreme Court of India, responding to petitions that were filed challenging the constitutional validity of SIR, the Election Commission of India said an independent appraisal had found that there were errors in the electoral rolls after SSR. This was stated on an affidavit submitted by the Supreme Court of India by the Election Commission of India to the Supreme Court of India. When information about the independent appraisal was sought under the Right to Information Act, the ECI did not reveal any details. Until we started this meeting, I was sitting here and checking. Until I started speaking, the ECI did not reveal who did the appraisal. I just checked. Even now it did not reveal. What were its recommendations? The ECI still refuses to put the report of the independent appraisal in the public domain. No one had ever seen that independent appraisal. The ECI had admitted on record in response to an RTI query that it had no record of why or how the SIR was initiated. This was admitted in writing by the Election Commission of India. It might come to you as a news, but it is a fact. It is as old or as the decision that has been taken on SIR. Interestingly, to another RTI query seeking reference number of all the files in which decision to initiate a special intensive revision across the country in 2025, when asked, you give us the reference, because under RTI you can call for the file notings and other things. Mr. T.C. Com, Principal Secretary of the ECI, had said, I quote, "The requisite information is not available in any material form." Material form means file notings. Venu is here, he knows. You circulate, there's a meeting, the minutes of the meeting are taken, etc., etc. This is the proceedings in material form. Now, the Principal Secretary, he says in writing, in response to an RTI query, that the required information is not available in any material form. He said that because the RTI mandated disclose information which is available in material form only. If it is oral, telephone conversation, he can't. Of course, there is no record. Or there is no noting also. And since such information on how the decision was taken on SIR rollout was not available in material form, there was nothing for him to disclose. So there's no record in the Election Commission of India. The question that arises is, why is the decision to conduct SIR taken in secrecy, and why are there no records in material form of these files and correspondence in the Commission? That's the question. If the intention of the Commission behind SIR, if they're bona fide, then there has to be a record. Is this not opaque and highly suspect? To me, it is. Suspicions and apprehensions about SIR are heightened after its completion in Bihar, followed by 9 other states and 3 union territories. The states include West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, Kerala, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, other states. Sir, in Bihar, about 80 lakh names were eliminated from the voters list, and about 21 lakh voters were added. Over 2.04 crores, 2.04 crore voters were removed from UP's electoral roll. 2.04 crores. And 84 lakh new voters were added. The story is similar in every state. Deletions ranged between 24 lakhs in Kerala and 97 lakhs in Tamil Nadu, and over 2 crore in Uttar Pradesh. The SIR deletions fail demographic test. In all these states, the number of voters after the final revised electoral roll falls short of the size of the adult population in these states. There is a very thumb of rule kind of a thing. If in a state there are 100 adults, How many voters should be there? 100 voters, because we are a universal adult franchise country. So it fails the demographic test. The first test is that. In all these states, the number of voters after the final revised electoral roll falls short of the size of the adult population in those states. Since ours is a democracy based on universal adult franchise, the number of voters should be equivalent to the adult population in a state. If a state's adult population is 100, the number of voters in that state ought to be 100, ideally. If it is 99 or if it is 101, it's okay. One can accommodate that number. But it is unacceptable to have 70 or 130 in the final revised list. In UP, the final number of voters after SIR falls short of the state's adult population by 2.83 crores. 2.83 crores. In Bihar, the final figure is about 80 lakhs less than the adult population of that state. What accounts for the shortfall? Who are these people? The ECI does not tell us, even today. Among the deleted voters, voters belonging to minorities, Dalit and Adivasi communities, daily wage earners, poor and illiterate persons are disproportionately high in number. Among these sections, among these people, Adivasi, Dalit, minority, marginalized people, women constitute a substantial portion. Studies have established that SIR adversely impacted women's potential political participation in our polity. Many among these are unlikely to know, they wouldn't even know that they were deleted. Many of them are even unlikely to know that they were disenfranchised. Even if they know, they are too weak and incapable of making their protesting voices heard. The ECI claimed that SIR was done before, and this is not the first time. It was done in 2002. That's what the ECI claims. Now, I would like to ask a question. Those who are here in this hall today, most of you probably were voters in, some of you at least, are voters in 2002. I was a voter in 2002. Does anybody recall having gone to any government official to prove you are eligible to be a voter? Is there anybody here? I never went to anybody carrying a bundle of documents to establish that I was eligible to be a voter. That's my experience. When I asked this question in different gatherings that I addressed in different parts of the country, so far, like you, not a single person said they had to prove their eligibility. It never happened. Therefore, the revision that happened in 2002 was entirely different from that what is going on now in the name of SIR. The ECI is misleading the country. It is not telling us the truth. When activists wanted to know what the 2002 revisions guidelines were so that they could compare them with the present revisions guidelines, they sought the information under RTI. They wrote to the Election Commission of India under RTI. The ECI said, mark this, the ECI said they had no copy of the 2002 guidelines. They had no copy. And they were not obligated to give documents from over 20 years ago under the RTI rules. Again, that is far from truth. That's not the truth. There is no time bar. Unless a body claims that, there were floods or a fire or whatever, they just can't say that we are not obliged to give you a document from over 20 years old. No. It's lying again. It marks the opacity. It is hiding something. I don't know what it is. There's one more misleading information from the ECI. The exercise conducted in 2002 was called, you know what it was called? Now they're saying we've conducted in 2002 also SIR. No. The exercise conducted in 2002 was called Special Revision of an Intensive Nature. This was conducted under Mr. Lingdo, who is a resident of Hyderabad these days. It required the ECI to do the revision transparently by vetting the revisions against the then existing mother list, because it's not a de novo. It's not all new again. No. You have a mother list, you go house to house, verify, and it was the responsibility of the Election Commission to see whether somebody is qualified to, or somebody is there or not. It is now, the burden has shifted to the voter. The voter has to prove himself or herself that I am eligible to be a voter. That was not the case in 2002. So it was not SIR, and the burden of proof was not on the citizen, on the voter. Why is the ECI misinforming the country about the 2002 revision exercise, is my question. ఆశ్చర్యం ఏంటంటే, నేను ఎప్పుడైనా ఎలక్షన్ కమిషన్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియాని క్వశ్చన్ అడిగితే నాకు సమాధానాలు వేరే చోట నుంచి వస్తుంటాయి. యూ కెన్ గెస్. తిట్లు కూడా వేరే చోట నుంచి వస్తుంటాయి. ఎలక్షన్ కమిషన్ దొరికే మాట్లాడేది పాప, ఏ మాట కామాట చెప్పుకోవాలి, మంచి వాళ్ళు. From several investigative studies, it has now come to light that many who were listed as dead are actually alive. Some of them were presented to the Supreme Court of India. వాళ్ళు మేము బతికే ఉన్నామని చెప్పారు. The Hindu, a newspaper known for its diligent reporting, carried out a study in Tamil Nadu which found that the age of those listed as dead did not conform to the mortality trends in the official data. Because there is an official trend. Some young people might die, some old people still might live. That's a different thing. But what is the overall trend in a society? So the booth-wise investigation done by the Hindu revealed that it was completely off the trend. The numbers defied the overall trend. In Bengal, many deleted voters listed as dead and absent, they attacked the local government offices that were involved in the SIR. Dead people attacking the local office, you can imagine. In Bihar, the electoral roll that was supposed to be cleaned up had one after SIR. After SIR, the Election Commission had given a press note saying, after successfully and satisfactorily completing the special intensive revision exercise, you had 1.32 crore fake addresses. 1.32 crore fake addresses. And what was the total electorate, sir, after SIR? 7.42 crores. Out of 7.42 crores, 1.32 crores fake addresses. In Barachetti Assembly constituency of the state, 877 voters were shown as residing in one address, in a village. One address. In Pipra constituency, Galimpur village, 509 voters were registered in one address. The address was not only just wrong, it does not even exist. There was no address like that. There are several such examples from the state. In all the 243 constituencies, 14.35 lakh duplicate voters were found by the investigative journalists after the successful and satisfactory completion of the SIR exercise. So what is it for? What have you done? Weeding out infiltrators or foreigners also turns out to be a phony claim. In Bihar, the total number of objections raised on the basis of somebody being a foreigner, out of the total, the electorate has to be about 8.22 crores. Leave that. The after SIR electorate was 7.42 crores. Of 7.42 crores, only 1,087 were flagged as foreigners. That is the claim. But Election Commission of India itself decided that out of the 1,087, only 390 merited some investigation, even according to the ECI. So out of 390 were found eligible for verification. Of them, 76 were Muslims. Out of that, 76 were Muslims. And of them, 10 were in Simanchal. Of the 10, only 5 were Muslims in Simanchal. And of those 5, 2 were already dead. So finally, the ECI found only 3 to be identified as foreigners and deleted. Of the 8.22 crore voters and 7.42 final list, only 3 were detected, determined, and deleted. But the viral propaganda in the social media continues to show that thousands of infiltrators have been detected and deleted and are now running away from the country in droves. You might have seen a lot of such videos. If weeding out foreigners and non-citizens was one of the primary concerns of SIR, as claimed by the ECI, the most eligible candidate state for conducting the exercise ought to be which state? Which is the state which had the most controversy about citizenship? Assam. Yes. If there was ever a state in the union where citizenship became most contested issue, it was Assam. But it is ironic that the ECI decided to do only a special revision in that state, not a special intensive revision. The total number of voters who were put by the earlier, whatever adjudication was going on there, the total number of voters put in the D list, that is the doubtful list, there's a D list in Assam, was 19 lakhs, of which 12 lakhs were Hindus and 7 lakhs are Muslims. This data makes the ECI vulnerable to the charge that it did not conduct SIR in Assam to avoid, because pronouncing 7 lakh Muslims ineligible for voting will require it to pronounce the 12 lakh Hindus also as ineligible. So it avoided. The figure, and finally, what was the deletions in Assam because of this? It was under 3 lakhs. Under 3 lakhs. And look at the contrast, stark contrast, to the tens of lakhs of voter deletions in other states. As I mentioned, 24 lakhs in Kerala, 97 lakhs in Tamil Nadu, 2.83 crores in Uttar Pradesh, 80 lakhs in Bihar, 45 lakhs in Rajasthan, 44 lakhs in Madhya Pradesh, and 77 lakhs in Gujarat. The burden, in Assam, what happened? The ECA officials went from house to house to update the electoral rolls. The burden of enrolling was not put on the people there as it is being put on us here in the rest of the country. Despite the clear evidence to the contrary, the narrative propagated by the ECI and the present ruling dispensation that SIR is meant only to clean up voters' list still has takers. There are people who are saying that SIR is good. Many still believe it. I don't know why, contrary to the evidence. Now, does anybody care about the deleted voters? This is important. Leave alone the common citizens like you and me, public intellectuals, media groups, even political leaders have swallowed this propaganda. They are uninterested in casting a probing eye on this large-scale disenfranchisement. Political leaders and a large section of the media are looking at this exercise. This has to be noted, because all these people are looking at this exercise only from the electoral point of view. They are assessing who does this disenfranchisement benefit and whose electoral chances is it going to harm. Evaru neggutaru, evaru odaru deenivalla. Therefore, many non-BJP NDA politicians I have interacted with in the states that went to polls after the implementation of SIR felt that it was unlikely to harm them, their electoral prospects. Among those, there are two categories. One felt that the deleted voters were not their voters. మా ఓటర్లు కాదండి వాళ్ళు తీసిన వాళ్ళు, నా ఓటర్లు తీయలేదు. So, I'm okay. Which means that these people are not bothered about the deletions if those deleted voters were not their own voters. The second category are those that understood that their own voters too were deleted, of course. మా వాళ్ళు కూడా కొంతమంది తీశారండి. But not enough in number to harm their winning chances. తీశారు కొంతమందిని, కానీ నేను లాస్ట్ టైం అండి 6,000 నెగ్గాను, 3,000 మందిని తీశారు మా వాళ్ళని, ఇంకా 3,000 బయటపడిపోతాను నేను. సో ఐ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ టు బాదర్. They are not interested in disenfranchisement. They are interested in who are these people. Are they going to vote for me? Are they going to vote for somebody else? Some people thought that my people are not deleted at all. Some people thought they were deleted but not enough. I'm still safe. So I don't have to bother. Despite deletions of their own voters, their net chances of winning the election were intact. It does not matter for them if some eligible voters were disenfranchised. That is the tragedy. Deleted voters stay in the public discourse. Deleted voters stay in the public discourse and news cycles only until the election results are declared. Once the leaders, those leaders who made noise about voter deletions, the media which wrote about them, suddenly fall silent once the election results are declared. Today, nobody talks about the fate of 80 lakh deleted voters in Bihar, 93 lakh disenfranchised people in Bengal, 97 lakh voters of Tamil Nadu, because there are no elections there now. No one talks about the 2.83 crore voters deleted in Uttar Pradesh, 44 lakh deleted voters in Rajasthan, 28 lakh voters deleted in Chhattisgarh, 45 lakh deleted voters from Madhya Pradesh, and 77 lakh deleted voters of Gujarat. Nobody talks about them. We don't care about them. After the elections, we do not care about Bihar, Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. Because there are no elections in UP, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Rajasthan, we don't care about those states also. Deleted voters, who are they? We don't care. West Bengal presents yet more deeply troubling picture. About 28 lakh voters were allowed or not allowed to vote, even though they were not pronounced ineligible. Their papers were not examined and claims not adjudicated. Yet, the ECI, the ruling dispensation, many in the political class, and the media want us to believe that the assembly election of May 2026 in Bengal was legitimate. How can that be legitimate? When 28 lakh people were stopped from voting without being declared ineligible, can you consider that a legitimate election? But they want us to believe, and we are all believing in it. We are not questioning. I'm winner, loser agnostic. I don't care who wins, I don't care who loses. But anybody who wins will have to win legitimately, with process integrity. But after 28 lakh people were barred from voting without being declared ineligible, if you declare ineligible, you can contest it later. That's a different thing. Fairly, not fairly, all right. But you have not done that also for 28 lakh people, and you conduct an election. Then one needs to look at the long-term implications of SIR for our polity. It is to these implications that I now turn. I'm not bothered about one election cycle or the second election cycle. Maybe 1 or 2 elections, it might go this way or that way. Forget that. But what are the long-term implications? In the wake of SIR, India will have 2 classes of people. One with the right to vote, and another without the right to vote. The ones without the right to vote will necessarily be unsure about their citizenship. Today, we know that. Your passport is not a proof of your citizenship. What really makes you a citizen, we do not know yet. Suddenly, it's all in doubt. And now there are reports coming from Bihar, Bengal, and other places that if you're not in the voters list after SIR, your passport is not being renewed. Rajgopal is an example now, former Telegraph editor. And people are now being denied their ration in Bengal, openly. It is declared by the Chief Minister himself. Let me do a thought experiment now with you. Imagine that none of us in this hall has a vote. None of us. And we all live together in one colony. Let's imagine. To this colony, where every resident, all of us, has no vote. Every resident is a non-voter. Would any politician or a candidate in an election come to campaign? Will they? Would any politician work for us? Would they give us drinking water, a road, a school, a health center, a power connection? I can say for sure that a politician would not even spend a minute of their time to stop by in our colony. Clear? Any doubt? Even now. We can live there, but with no claims on the state for protection and care. We can live there if you want. We are beyond the state's pale. The state has no responsibility towards us. It does not have to care for us. If at all it does, which is unlikely, it is out of its generosity and not on account of our rightful claims on it. The state is not duty bound to take care of us. We do not anymore belong to the political society of the country. In other words, the political society of India will be constricted, circumcised. Those who are excluded are no longer relevant to our republic. This is what is the long-term consequence of SIR. Please don't think it is just one vote making one party win or losing another, making another party lose. No, it's not that. Maybe it's the one or two elections it might be, but the longer-term implications of SIR is that we will have two classes of citizens. Let me tell you here that so far SIR has deleted about 6 crore voters in these states. 10 states and 3 union territories. At this rate, by the time the exercise is completed in the entire country, the estimated deletions would be about 16 crores. This is not a small number. Because we live in a big country, 16 crores, 6 crores, looks small. But let me tell you, about 80% of the countries in the world have populations of 16 crores or less. SIR, in other words, is excising, taking out a few countries from within India and throwing them out. That is what SIR is. SIR Vishwarupam. We are so far used to democracy. మన వైస్ ఛాన్సలర్ గారు చెప్పారు. So far, we are used to a democracy where voters decided who should be in the government. But now, in the wake of SIR, we are transitioning into a new democracy in which those who sit in the government are deciding who should be the voters. That is the picture which is unfolding in our country today. Let me take the implications a bit more further. SIR has yet another troubling consequence. It is not difficult to understand that every political party will address only the interests, concerns, and priorities of those who have a right to vote. They don't have to care for other people. Only those people who have a vote. Political parties will have to be concerned only with them, isn't it? Only they matter to political parties. As we have understood the drift of the SIR deletions, most of those who retain voting right are likely to be Savarna Hindus, if not in the immediate past, but eventually at any rate. We need to keep in mind that the present SIR is unlikely to be the last SIR. Can you guarantee can anybody guarantee me that this is the last SIR? No SIR is going to take place next? We can't. So, please do not rule out the possibility that SIR becomes unstoppable once it is normalized, because things are being normalized. See, normalization has set into the DNA of our country. For instance, ఎంత మామూలు అయిపోయిందంటే ఇదివరకు చాలామంది ఎడ్యుకేట్ చేసేవాళ్ళు ప్రపంచీకరణకు వ్యతిరేకంగా, ఉదారీకరణకు వ్యతిరేకంగా, ప్రైవేటీకరణకు వ్యతిరేకంగా. బట్ ఇవాళ మనం ఆలోచించాల్సింది మామూలీకరణకు వ్యతిరేకంగా. ఎంత మామూలీకరణ జరిగిపోతుందంటే డాలర్ ఎంతండి? మామూలే. మామూలు అయిపోయిందా? పెట్రోల్ ఎంతండి? మామూలు అయిపోయింది. మణిపూర్ తగలబడుతోందండి. ఎన్నాళ్ళు తగలబడుతుంది? 2 ఏళ్ళు దాటిపోయిందా? మామూలే కదా. మనం మాట్లాడుతాం దాని గురించి. రాస్తున్నారు ఎవరైనా? అయిపోయింది, మామూలే. లించింగ్ మామూలే. ధరల పెరుగుదల మామూలే. లీకులు మామూలే. నీట్ మామూలే. ఎన్టీఏ మామూలే. ఉద్యోగాలు లేవు మామూలే. అన్నీ మామూలే. మామూలీకరణ. యూ గెట్ సో యూస్ టు ఇట్ that you don't feel anything any more abnormal. And SIR is now in the pipeline to be mamulified, normalized. It is normal. It is good also. There is a probability that we will regularly have such SIR exercises that would progressively eliminate the so-called unwanted and impure elements from our political society. After many iterations of SIR, the polity will be fully purged of those unwanted elements. This is the beginning of it. The non-Hindus and non-Savarna Hindus who might still retain their voting right will be rendered into a politically inconsequential minority. They don't matter. There might be some people, just to show that there are some other people also. But the number is such and spread in such a way that it doesn't matter. It doesn't tilt any election. It doesn't impact the political society of our country. Even without the SIR, the ruling party at the center is able to have a council of ministers without a single member belonging to the Muslim and Christian minorities of this country. Today, there is absolutely not a single member belonging to any minority community in the central union ministers, in the council of ministers. Did you notice that? Not many people. Not many people, I must say. It's mamuli karan, it's normal. In the entire history of our independent India, we never had a union council of ministers that did not have a Muslim and a Christian representative. Even after SIR, if any minorities and a non-Savarna Hindu still remain with franchise, they will still be made politically inconsequential by the process of delimitation. Do you know what is delimitation? Delimitation is people are really talking about how many seats for Telangana, how many seats for Andhra Pradesh, how many seats for Tamil Nadu, Kerala. No, that's a legitimate thing. But more than that, if you want to know what is going to be the delimitation, the shape of delimitation, please look at the parliament constituencies in Assam. That gives you a nice idea of what is going to come in the form of delimitation. If I take a glass of water and throw it on the floor, you know the way it spreads with a little gaps here and there? Parliamentary constituencies in Assam today look exactly like that. You know, there are constituencies where some booths are in a different constituency altogether. Single booths, or single wards, a couple of wards. They might have 2 or 3 booths or 3 or 4 booths, but they're in different. The principle is packing and cracking. You pack a constituency in such a way that there are only one particular community here. Another constituency where only one particular community is there, predominantly, 90%. Now, if it is a mixed one, a political party might lose both the constituencies. But if it is done this way, it is sure to win one constituency and lose another constituency. And mind you, one constituency might lose by 90,000 votes. Doesn't matter. After the elections, one constituency is one constituency. One MLA is one MLA. One MP is one MP. But another constituency, even if they win by a few thousand votes, a constituency is a constituency. An MP is an MP. An MLA is an MLA, isn't it? So they're cracking and packing the constituencies in such a way. Assam Akka is an example. Have a look at just download the Assam delimitation maps. You'll know. Cholagar. It's a bhayankaravana situation. Not only just the numbers. People don't understand the numbers. I'll tell you, some people are talking about, it's all 50%, all proportionate. Why are you worried about it? UP is getting 50% increase and I'm getting 50% increase. Okay. I'll give you a simple example. I'll give you the even number so that, you don't have to do much of a mathematics. 20 is the current strength of 20 current strength of Lok Sabha members in Kerala. Agreed? 80 is Uttar Pradesh. What is the difference between UP and Kerala today? 60. 80 నుంచి 20 తీస్తే 60 కదమ్మా 60. 50% ఇంక్రీజ్ చేద్దామండి. కేరళ ఎన్ని అవుతాయండి? 30 అవుతాయి, 30. యూపీ ఎన్ని అవుతాయండి? 120. 120కి 30కి ఎంత తేడా జ్వాలా గారు? ఇప్పటివరకు నేనేమో 60 తక్కువ అండి, రేపటి నుంచి నేను 90 తక్కువ అండి. అది చాలా బాగుందని అంటారేంటి కొంతమంది ఉన్నారు, కొంతమంది అనేవాళ్ళు. చాలా న్యాయం అంటున్నారు. మాయ. This is the other facet of delimitation. One is the number, the other one is cracking and packing. No, you had this in Assam and Jammu and Kashmir, already done. If that is the situation now, without SIR, without the delimitation, if union government can have a council of ministers without a minority, if that is the situation now, imagine what would be the political significance of these sections of our society after the SIR, after it is fully implemented in the entire country. That is the level of Hindu majoritarian consolidation that the current ruling dispensation could mobilize behind itself. With SIR, that would be the only political society that is going to remain for any political party, isn't it? After SIR, every political party will have to operate in that limited political society. That would mean Hinduization, or rather Savarna Hinduization of our polity. Please ponder over this. This would result in every political party ending up as a Hindu majoritarian party, because that is the only concerns that they have to address. Some might do more, some might do less. But all of them Hindu majoritarian nevertheless. They have to be, because that is the only constituency available to you. If you are contesting a graduates MLC, who would you address? Only graduates, isn't it? So, a political party's character, all political parties' character will transform to suit the electorate that is available to you. The die would be cast, the pitch would be set, the political turf would be transformed. Every political party, if it has to be electorally successful or even stay relevant in that curated polity and transformed turf, would play like the BJP, adopt the program of the BJP, and would even perhaps be compelled to be more BJP-like than the present BJP itself. I won't be surprised. The point I'm making is, in the medium to long term, the consequences of SIR would make every political party like the BJP. In other words, every political party in the country would be BJPized. That is the consequence of SIR. Not one election, 2 elections. Then there's one more consequence. We already see religious symbols of the majority gradually creeping up to the status of quasi-state symbols. Has anybody noticed? Not long ago, we had seen the spectacle of several Hindu religious men, no women, religious men, parade along with the symbol of monarchy, the Sengol, in our democratic republic's newly built Parliament House. Remember? Not long ago, after 10-hour marathon debate on Vande Mataram, you remember, there was a 10-hour marathon debate on Vande Mataram in our Lok Sabha, not on unemployment, not on Manipur, not on China, not on Operation Sindoor, not on rural distress, not on farmers' problems, nothing. Only on Vande Mataram, 10-hour marathon we had. The government had issued an order that I told you in the beginning, that all central government functions should have the songs, all 6 stanzas rendered in every official function. We also are witness to government schemes. Please pay attention to this. We are also witness to government's schemes getting their names that clearly allude to Hindu scriptures, Godheads, and epics. Now, Manrega is Ji Ramji. Yeah. This process is worryingly close to the political culture of Israel. The Jewish state, it is a declared Jewish state. The Jewish state is unapologetic about having Jewish religious symbols as its state symbols. Star of David is on its national flag. Every political party in the country serves only Jewish interests, addresses only Jewish aspirations, heeds only to Jewish concerns and priorities. They are barely distinguishable from one another on core issues. Whether it is Liquid Party or Labour Party or whichever party, they all talk the same language, more or less. They, in fact, work to outdo each other on championing Jewish interests as well as in displaying their indifference to and antipathy to the non-Jewish concerns. The state takes no obligation onto itself for the well-being of non-Jews. The state is not concerned about it. Very clear. The process that is now underway in India, if unchecked, will make India go the Israeli way. In other words, what we see today is a steady Israelization of India. This is SIR. The unfolding of these two phenomena is unmistakable. BJPization of political parties on the one hand and Israelization of polity on the other, both proceeding in lockstep. This is dismantling the idea of India as a secular, plural, and federal state that pledged itself to delivering liberty, equality, justice, and fraternity to its people and to foster a humane society for which Baba Saheb Ambedkar stood. The idea of India embedded in our 1947 Tryst with Destiny and the political compact enshrined in our 1950 Constitution are now in mortal danger. The secular, plural, democratic conception of India has been the target of unrelenting assaults from a body of intellectuals and several other past-worshipping obscurantist platforms. They have been openly and doggedly championing the unequal social order for over a century. Their project is to seek India's future. Their project is to seek India's future in its past. In glory, to turn the secular democratic republic into a culturally, linguistically, religiously homogenized nation. The nation of Indian civilization, the notion of Indian civilization as a synthesis, and obliterate the rich diversity of cultures, languages, lifestyles, eating habits, sartorial practices, ways of worship, and syncretism that the country is blessed with. And what I learned from Narasimha Rao Garu was, he was wedded to these ideals. He was wedded to syncretism. He was wedded to pluralism. He was wedded to federalism. He was wedded to plurality, secular, democratic. You know, most people do not know. I must tell you this. We all have an idea that Narasimha Rao is an intellectual. Of course he was an intellectual. But normally what intellectuals do, intellectuals normally, they don't contest direct elections. Very few. But here is a case. This country had its first general elections in 19... to the road, going to the people, asking for their mandate. Never has he, why should I go? I mean, I can talk to somebody, they can give me Rajya Sabha, they can give me an MLC. No. No way. No indirect elections at all in the entire life of Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao. Democrat. And once you're a Democrat, you have to be secular. You are secular. You are wedded to plurality, syncretism. You respect every way of life, every way of worship, every language, every food, every culture. And that's what this man stood for. He would not have definitely allowed this kind of a drift at all. He would have fought tooth and nail Chakrapanikar. I can assure you that. Of course, Vanaka knows much better. SIR is but one key element in a grand project that seeks to assert exclusive Hindu ownership of the Indian state. This is another danger. To make the Hindu-owned nation the sole rightful resident of the territory of the Indian state. One is that the entire political community is one, and that political community to become the rightful owner, and the other people are not owners. They can live here, but at our mercy, at our pleasure. That is the larger project. And once you have the rightful owners, residents in this territory of the Indian state, and then turn it into a Hindu nation state, a Hindu Rashtra. Here, there's one more catch. It seeks to redefine the country's identity as a Hindu nation. In that configuration, in that Hindu nation, for the time being, Chakrapani Garu, for the time being, Savarna is deliberately muted and made illegible. You can't read it. But once the constraints are broken, it would be unveiled as a full-blooded, unapologetic, wall-to-wall Savarna Hindu Rashtra. Make no mistake about it. When we became a republic, our founding parents made it a home for everyone who lived in this country, in its territory. Membership of the republic or citizenship was not predicated on religion, caste, gender, language, culture, region, or residence, color, economic status, educational qualifications, and such other things. Everyone who chose India as their land of residence was a citizen and also a voter. Denominational attributes did not privilege one or the other as rightful owners of the nation. Everybody was a rightful owner. Is a rightful owner. It should be a rightful owner. Europe went through a different experience when nation states were formed. There were people who rightfully belonged and those who were others or minorities. That was the European experience. That was the basis of European nation states. There were majorities and minorities there. Minorities' residence was predicated on their becoming tolerable to the majorities. European countries and countries which adopted the model of building their nation states either subjugated minorities, pushed them out of their territories, or even exterminated them. Beginning from the cleansing of the Iberian Peninsula in the mid-15th century until the ethnic cleansing that Israel carries out today. Now you have seen, it's out in the open, Israeli ethnic cleansing. History is witness to many bloody attempts to forge homogenized nations. But in India, we chose a different path. We designed our collective life in a way that state gave room to everyone, despite their diversity, to live together and thrive. That was the creed of the founding idea of India. But ideologies in India that continue to draw their inspiration from European nation-state concept want our republic too to be turned into a state owned by one nation, the Hindu nation. In their conception of a republic, the others needed to be assimilated to the point of obliterating their respective identities, pushed out of the territory of India or the nation state, or exterminated through genocide. In the present day India, both the pushing out and physical extermination of unassimilated minorities are practically not possible. Impractical they are. Politically impractical. However, extermination of a political kind of others is still possible. Instead of exterminating the citizen, instead of killing the citizen, పౌరుణ్ణి చంపడం కుదరదు. ఏం చేయొచ్చు? ద సిటిజన్షిప్ కుడ్ బి ఎక్స్టర్మినేటెడ్. పౌరసత్వాన్ని చంపచ్చు. పౌరుణ్ణి చంపడం కుదరకపోతే పౌరసత్వాన్ని చంపడమే. SIR is the weapon forged for that kind of an extermination. It exterminates citizens of those unwanted elements by exterminating their franchise. It is clear that without franchise, citizenship is hollow, without substance. Disenfranchisement hollows out citizenship. Therefore, SIR is nothing but a bloodless political genocide. It exterminates citizenship, pushes people out of the political society, makes people stateless, even as they continue to live within the borders of the Indian state. What CAA NRC could not do, SIR is tasked to accomplish. The idea of India as a nation state, in contradistinction to an idea of India as a state nation, in contradistinction to a nation state that is home to diverse peoples, cultures, languages, and religions, is being dismantled at a fiendish pace. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Really, I am speechless after listening to your speech. You have very deeply concerned problem. You have explained in very, without any rhetoric and without any kind of, shoutings, arguments and raising BPs in your own style. You have explained this in very, to understand every person in this hall, not only in this hall. I think this must be go to every citizen of this country. And of course, you have proposed several different kind of, concepts, connotations and repercussions with SIR. Particularly used some words like Israelization or, that is very alarming. Of course, the present state is alarming, but we adopted normalization, by normalization, marvelization, okay, it will go on. After listening to you, sir, I think Indian democracy, Indian constitution, and idea of Indian nation is in threat. In fact, ఇండియాలో చాలామంది పిల్లలకి తెలుసో తెలియదో ముఖ్యంగా ఈ కంప్యూటర్లు సైన్స్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఫ్రేమింగ్ ఎట్లా జరిగిందో తెలియట్లేదు చాలామందికి. సారు ఒక మాట వాడారు, సవర్ణైజేషన్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా, ఎలీట్ ఇండియా, హిందూయిజేషన్ ఆఫ్ 150, probably 120 years back, Ambedkar realized that if we leave India like this, if British go away, automatically India will be in the hands of Savarnas. Then he, immediately after returning from London, he gave a representation to South Borough Committee to consider the value of one man, one vote, one value. Otherwise, there is no value for so many of depressed classes of India. భారతీయులు భారతదేశాన్ని ఉన్నట్టుగానే వదిలేసి కనుక బ్రిటిష్ వాళ్ళు వెళ్ళిపోతే, ఇది బ్రిటిష్ వాళ్ళు వెళ్ళిపోవడానికంటే 50 సంవత్సరాల ముందు సౌత్ బరో కమిటీ 1919లో ఎప్పుడు వచ్చింది. వచ్చినప్పుడు ఆ కమిటీకి ఈ దేశానికి ఓటు హక్కు కావాలి. ఆ ఓటు హక్కు ప్రతి మనిషికి ఒకటే ఉండాలి. దాని ద్వారా ప్రతి మనిషి ఒకటే విలువ కలిగి ఉంటాడు, ఒకటే గౌరవం కలిగి ఉంటాడు అని అంబేద్కర్ గారు ఒక ఎవిడెన్స్ ఇచ్చారు. ఎవిడెన్స్ అంటే అప్పుడు రిప్రజెంటేషన్ని వాళ్ళు క్రాస్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ కూడా చేసేవాళ్ళు కాబట్టి he attended before that South Borough Committee and he explained why this country needed a kind of equality before the law, or equality before that. Equality will come only when you have equal value to a vote. Unfortunately, if what Prabhakar Garu said is implemented, as he rightly put, many people at one stretch can have, he used disfranchised kind of, they lose their franchise. Losing a franchise is nothing but losing a citizenship. Losing the citizenship in this country is losing life. ఇది ఇంత గంభీరమైనటువంటి విషయాన్ని మనం చాలా మామూలుగా అనుకుంటాం. సో నాకు ఇప్పుడు ఒక ఆందోళన కాదు, ఒక ఆలోచన వస్తున్నది. 2002లో నేను ఓటు వేయలేదు. ఐ నెవర్ ఎన్రోల్డ్ యాజ్ ఎ ఓటర్ బిఫోర్ 2014. ఇప్పుడు నేను ఎక్కడి నుంచి ప్రూవ్ చేయాలి ఐఎమ్ ఏ సిటిజన్ అని? I mean, it's a very typical kind of strategy, as you rightly said, sir. It's completely segregating Indian population. మీరు విన్న తర్వాత అంబేద్కర్ గారు చెప్పినటువంటి మౌలికమైనటువంటి సిటిజన్షిప్ ఐడియాకి ఇది విరుద్ధం. ఓటు హక్కు అనేటిది కల్పించడానికి స్వాతంత్రానికంటే ముందు 50-55 సంవత్సరాల ముందు ఆయన చేసిన ప్రయత్నాలకి, అంటే ఈక్వాలిటీ అనే ప్రిన్సిపల్కి ఇది విరుద్ధం అనేటువంటిది అర్థమవుతుంది. రెండోది, మీరు పెరిఫెరల్గా టచ్ చేసినారు కానీ డీలిమిటేషన్ని ఐ థింక్ వీ నీడ్ అనదర్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ డిస్కషన్ ఆన్ దట్. డీలిమిటేషన్ అనేది మనం నార్త్ సౌత్ ప్రాబ్లము, చదువుకున్నోళ్ళు చదువుకోలేని ప్రాబ్లము, పాపులేషన్ లేనులకు ప్రాబ్లం అని అనుకుంటున్నాం. బట్ చాలా డిస్క్రీట్గా ఒక మ్యాపింగ్ జరుగుతుంది. ఆ మ్యాపింగ్లో కొంతమందికి రిప్రజెంటేషన్ లేకుండా చేసే కుట్ర జరుగుతుందని మీరు చెప్తున్నారు. ఇఫ్ దట్ ఈస్ ద ట్రూ, అంబేద్కర్ రియల్లీ వార్న్డ్ అబౌట్ దట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ సిచ్యువేషన్. డ్యూరింగ్ రౌండ్ టేబుల్ కాన్ఫరెన్స్ he raised separate electorate for certain sections in this country. అదర్వైజ్ అంబేద్కర్ చాలా క్లియర్గా చెప్పాడు, మీరు సపరేట్ ఎలక్టరేట్ లేకుంటే ఈ దేశంలో ఉన్నటువంటి డిప్రెస్డ్ సెక్షన్స్ ఎవరు కూడా చట్టసభలోకి రారు. ఇవాళ మీరు కనుక క్లియర్గా మ్యాప్ చేస్తే తెలంగాణలో ఎవరు గెలవాలో దాని ప్రకారం మనం బౌండరీలు మార్చవచ్చు. ఫర్ గుడ్ ఆర్ బ్యాడ్, Hyderabad is representing for two different kind of public opinions. And in entire all parliamentary seatలలో ఒక హైదరాబాద్ మాత్రమే ఒక కమ్యూనిటీకి 12%, 50%, 15% ప్రాబబ్లీ ఉండేటువంటి కమ్యూనిటీకి రిప్రజెంట్ చేసే ఒకే ఒక ఎంపీ పోతున్నాడు. ఇఫ్ ద గవర్నమెంట్ ఈస్ క్లెవర్ ఎనఫ్ అండ్ ఇఫ్ దే వాంట్ టు కర్వ్ ద కాన్స్టిట్యున్సీ ఇన్ డిఫరెంట్ వే, even that representation also will not be there from Telangana. ఇది కొంచెం సీరియస్ ప్రాబ్లం. అట్లా ఎవరినైనా మార్చవచ్చు. We have seen that, లాస్ట్ నేను యాజ్ ఎ జర్నలిస్ట్ ఐ ఆమ్ అబ్జర్వింగ్ లాస్ట్ డిలిమిటేషన్ అప్పుడు కూడా సమ్ కాన్స్టిట్యున్సీస్ ఆర్ కర్వ్డ్ like that to get elected somebody or some community or something. చాలా క్లియర్గా ఈ దేశం ఎటువైపు పోతున్నది. మీరు లాస్ట్కి ఒక మాట చెప్పారు, ఎవరైతే నిజంగానే యుద్ధంలో ముఖాముఖి గెలవలేరో వాళ్ళు వేరే మార్గంలో శత్రువుని చంపేటువంటి ప్లాన్ చేస్తుంటారు. సిఏఏ విషయంలో గెలవలేకపోయారు, లేదా మిగతా విషయాలలో అటువంటి విషయాలలో ఎన్ఆర్సీ విషయంలో గెలవలేకపోయారు. ఇవాళ మనం సిటిజన్షిప్ కాదు, ఎన్ఆర్సీ కాదు, ఓటర్ లిస్ట్ని ఆయుధం చేసుకుంటే చాలామందిని ఎలిమినేట్ చేయడానికి అవకాశం ఉంటుందనేటువంటి భయం ఈ ప్రక్రియలో జరుగుతుంది. భయం కాదు, పరకాల ప్రభాకర్ గారు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్డ్ అస్ వెరీ క్లియర్లీ అబౌట్ వాట్ హ్యాపెండ్ ఎర్లియర్ ఫ్రమ్ యూపీ, బీహార్ అండ్ విచిత్రం ఏంటంటే ఎవరిని ఉంచాలి, ఇట్లాంటి ఆధారాలు లేని వాళ్ళందరినీ తీసేస్తామని ఒక నేషనల్ పాలసీ పెట్టుకుంటే అది వేరు. కానీ స్టేట్కు ఒక ఎక్కడ ఎవరిని ఉంచాలి, ఎక్కడ ఎవరిని తొలగించాలనే పాలసీ కనుక పెట్టుకుంటే డెఫినెట్గా ఇది ప్రజాస్వామ్యానికి, రాజ్యాంగానికి పెద్ద ముప్పు. ఇప్పుడు తెలంగాణ ఆ పరీక్షను ఎదుర్కోబోతుంది. ఈ కాంటెక్స్ట్లో మీ స్పీచ్ చాలా విలువైనటువంటిదిగా మేము భావిస్తున్నాం. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ ఫర్ గివింగ్ ఏ వండర్ఫుల్ delivering a wonderful speech to commemorate Bharat Ratna, former Prime Minister Sri P.V.Narasimha గారు. మీరు చెప్పినట్టుగా రియల్గా అటువంటి ఇంటలెక్చువల్ లీడర్షిప్ ఉంటే ఇటువంటి డెమోక్రసీని డీస్టెబిలైజ్ చేసేటువంటి పరిస్థితులు ఉండకపోయేటివేమో. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. కొంతమంది మిత్రులు వచ్చారు, ఏదో మెసేజ్లు పెడుతున్నారు. క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉండవు, బట్ ఏమైనా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఉంటే మీరు స్లిప్లో రాసి కనుక పంపిస్తే ప్రభాకర్ గారు, మనం క్లోజ్ చేయాలి కూడా, ఆల్రెడీ 1:30 అయిపోయింది. సో 1 or 2 క్వశ్చన్స్ ఎవరైనా రాసిస్తే మేము వీ కెన్, ఐ థింక్ ప్రభాకర్ గారు won't mind to answer. Yeah. Thank you very much. Now I request our registrar garu to propose vote of thanks. Before formal vote of thanks, of course, felicitation అనేటువంటిది ఒక ఫార్మాలిటీ, బట్ we are honored, sir, for your presence over here and delivering very thought-provoking lecture today. From university side, we have a small presentation to you. Now I request our registrar and our PRO to conduct the further proceedings.
మా ఆహ్వానాన్ని మన్నించి ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి అన్ని విషయాలని కులంకషంగా వివరించినందుకు వారికి యూనివర్సిటీ పక్షాన, మా పాలక మండలి పక్షాన, మా వైస్ ఛాన్సలర్ పక్షాన కృతజ్ఞతలు, ధన్యవాదాలు హృదయపూర్వకంగా తెలియజేస్తున్నాం. అట్లాగే సమావేశానికి అధ్యక్షత వహించిన మా వీసీ గారు, అకాడమిక్ డైరెక్టర్ గారికి, వాణి మేడం గారిని పిలిచిన వెంటనే మేడం ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి ఏమాత్రం సంకోచించకుండా వారు కొన్ని మాటలు మాట్లాడినందుకు వారికి ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తున్నాం యూనివర్సిటీ పక్షాన.